Hello and welcome to Mark Talks Mags. Today I'm going to have a look at Melody Maker from January the 28th, 1978. And what drew me to this one as I was going through the pile was not the main headline on the cover, but a sub-headline at the top. The main headline is Red Heads, great big picture of Tina Weymouth. It says Talking Heads, who began their second British tour at the weekend, will make history later this year when they play a series of dates behind the Iron Curtain, in the first of rock's new wave to play in countries such as Poland, Yugoslavia and Hungary. And the small story in front, Pistols, no future, question mark. And it says, the Sex Pistols have broken up, maybe. Confusion still surrounds the position of the group, despite a statement from the group's management company which confirmed the rift within the band and blamed distortion and manipulation by the press in America for forcing these decisions on the Pistols. So this is obviously just after the ill-fated American tour, when two of them shot down to meet up with Ronnie Biggs and record, and John Lydon came back to the UK. I believe Vicious didn't he, before heading back to the States as well. But anyway, so this is just after that. So we turn the page and here's the article following on from that headline. Talk about chalk and cheese. It's facing a 4-page ad for the new album by John Denver. So John Denver there and the Sex Pistols here. So we've got a full-page piece. The main picture of which is Bob Grun's famous picture of Sid Vicious, bloodied face and blood all down him, cut himself up, etc., etc. on the American tour. Let's just see if I can pick anything out interesting amongst this. It's all what you'd expect to see. Their record company is saying, oh, we don't know, we're not sure. There's McLaren saying he's not sure. And then at the end it says, this is Richard Branson. It had been on the board for a long time. John Rotten has been hot and cold about success on this level from the start. I do not honestly see him not playing again in some form because everyone knows he is such a potential giant star. We have to wait and see what results from this so-called bust-up, but I'm pretty sure something positive will happen, concluded Branson. However, he did say that he thought Sid Vicious would not be part of whatever did happen with the Pistols, and he was a, quote, very sick man. Well, what happened 9 months later, if in fact he did do it, he clearly was. I'd call him more of a very troubled man. But there we go. Let's turn the page. Here's the news pages. Bruford forms new supergroups. There's Bill Bruford, of course, and when he just formed UK, which was a supergroup of prog type musicians, with Eddie Jobson, who was the whiz kid violinist in Curved Air, replaced Darrell Way. He then joined Roxy Music, replacing Brian Eno. John Wetton, who was a seasoned professional, King Crimson and Mogul Thrash being two of his ex-bands, and Alan Holdsworth, who was a bit of a whiz kid jazz rock guitarist. Anyway, I have no interest in UK whatsoever, so we'll forget any more about that. Zappa adds another 2 gigs at Hammersmith Odeon. Ian Hunter producing the new album from Mr. Big. Dear me, this is all a bit boring. Dusty Springfield returns to the British music scene after a 4-year absence with a new album. And there's a picture of Dusty looking very swish and late 70s style. Never really suited her, did it? She became something of a tragic figure too, didn't she? Patti Smith LP due. Ozzy rejoins Black Sabbath. A new singer, Dave Walker, was drafted in to replace Osborne when he left in November last year, but during intensive rehearsals it became obvious the arrangement wasn't working out. Now, I know a little bit about Black Sabbath and I've never heard of Dave Walker. Maybe I should look deeper. US news. Blue Oyster Cult on tour. Most tour dates are sellouts. This is when they brought in their laser light show, which was something that had never been seen before. And as I think I've touched on before on Mark Talks Mags, I went to see them in Bristol on that tour, and all it really was a green beam hitting the ceiling, and that was it. Nothing too special. It's a full-page ad for Roxy Music, Do the Strand and Editions of You, which of course were from much earlier in their career, but this was released as a sort of double A-side because the Greatest Hits album had just come out. And what a twosome that is, eh? Do the Strand and Editions of You. Fabulous stuff. Magazine, Shot by Both Sides advert. And Paul Morley said, a delicious segment of claustrophobic turbulence. Nice one. Short tour for them as well. And there's two pages on Frank Zappa. Never really a fan, I'm afraid. And then a virtual full-page article on radio stars who have sort of faded into obscurity a bit, didn't they? They were sort of nearly stars. Brought out, I think, about 5 singles. Formed from the ashes of Sparks, not including Ron and Russell Mael, and John's Children, the 60s band that was, so say, naughtier than the Who on stage. And yet, as far as I know, they used to have pillow fights, which isn't particularly naughty, is it? But yeah, Andy Ellison was in John's Children. Of course, they were also in Jet, the rhythm section, who were sort of late glam rock band, early proto-punk band. It's a really good album, which I've actually got, which I'd pluck out and show you. Where are we? Jet. This, of course, isn't Jet as in the Australian band Jet. This is... Oh, there we are. That's this band Jet. Good album, worth a listen. Anyway, I'm straying away from the point. Then we got a full-page ad for Gallagher and Lyle. So far we've had full-page ads for John Denver and Gallagher and Lyle. It's not shaping up well, is it? And The Babies. It's definitely not shaping up well. Mailbag. The main letter is regarding Wire, and Melody Maker have headlined it, Punks, The Future Is Yours. And it's basically Edward Kitchen of Cambridge is basically saying how the cream of the punk scene is rising to the top and will move on to greater things. And Mr. Kitchen was very right, wasn't he? Anything else interesting in the letters? Not really. In the Melody Maker, there's often the phrase "poet of our times," referring to Johnny Rotten or Joe Strummer. John Rotten may well be a poet for our times, but it's only the dole freaks he speaks directly to. Who's that? Ricky Gordon of Musselburgh, Scotland. Tonight, a full page. This is a terrible edition. So we had a virtual full page article on radio stars who were sort of not very good power pop, and then we got Tonight. Tonight had a hit called Drummer Man, which was appalling. A full page ad for Chris de Burgh. So John Denver, Chris de Burgh, Gallagher and Lyle. This is 1 month into 1978. Whatever happened to punk rock? The Story of Steel I Span. Robert Gordon, Hoyt Axton. Jesus. Caught in the Act. XTC, more than punk, so says the headline. And also the adverts. And the Cortinas supported them. The Cortinas played a very tight and impressive set, coupling no-nonsense rock with good harmonies and imaginative rhythms. Their material, numbers such as I Trust Valerie Singleton, Tribe of the City and Defiant Pose, showed great promise. This is Roger Goodwin's reviewing the adverts and the Cortinas. And we're into January of 78. You would have thought he wouldn't be talking of them as a band showing great promise by then, would you? Singles. Lead single, Mr. Blue Sky. That's one of Gemma's favourite songs. I'm afraid I never took to ELO at all. Peters and Lee, Peter Skellen, Ronnie Hawkins. Blimey. Oh, now we have a good little run. Magazine, shot by both sides. Tipped for big things by those who know. I don't, so it doesn't really impress me. A few interesting changes, but I'm sure I've heard it before. Number 2 of this 3 good ones, 999, Emergency. Don't know about this, not a hit, but a good idea. And the adverts, No Time to Be 21. There are actually some people who enjoy being 21. This is totally negative. Life can be fun. Spend more time with the Ramones. And this twat was guest reviewer Roger Scott of London's Capital Radio, who clearly had no taste. There's a quarter-page ad for Kevin Coyne, Amsterdam there. Great talent, Kevin Coyne. A great talent. Albums. Iggy Pop and James Williamson, Kill City. Which is good. I don't think it's brilliant. It's good. Well, I don't know. It's a bit better than good. It's very good, but I'm not sure it's quite as good as people today say it was. Tish Van Leer album. That was the yodeling, twitting focus, wasn't it? I'm finding it hard to get enthusiastic about this one. Sorry about this, fellas. The adverts. Full-page ad for No Time to Be 21. Early 78. Where did they play? Not in Bristol, because I'd have been there if they had. Jazz albums, no thank you. A page of adverts for Amstrad, who were like a produced stereos and what have you, which were cheap but perfectly decent. I think most people in their teens, their first stereo at the time was probably by Amstrad. Then we have a double-page piece on Talking Heads, which carries on from the piece on the front cover. And the centre pages, if I remember rightly, is likely to be our favourite bit, or my favourite bit, the charts. And it is. Number 1 in the charts was Uptown Top Ranking by Althea and Donna, one of the great number 1 singles. And it had taken over from Mull of Kintyre at number 1. So that was number 1 and number 2. Love's Unkind by Donna Summer at 3. Native New Yorker by Odyssey at number 4. It's a Heartache by Bonnie Tyler at number 5. Looking down what else we've got, there's not a lot of great interest in there, you know, at all. Morning of Our Lives by the wonderful Modern Lovers at 22. Rich Kids by Rich Kids at 28, and Quit This Time We Had in the Hot Rods at number 30. I think punk had been all but forgotten by January 78. Number 1 in the albums was Sound of Bread, number 2 was Disco Fever, and number 3 was Rumours. Number 1 in the US singles was Short People by Randy Newman, number 2 was Baby Come Back by Player, number 3 was We Are the Champions by Queen, number 4 was Staying Alive by the Bee Gees, and number 5 was You're in My Heart by Rod Stewart. And I won't look for anything remotely punk rock in the American charts because that just didn't happen. UK reggae charts. Unsurprisingly, Uptown Top Ranking is number 1 in there too. Mickey Mouse by Dillinger at 2. The double A side of Jamming and Punky Reggae Party by Bob Marley at 3. Born for a Purpose by one of my favourites, Dr. Alimentado at number 4. Number 5, Peace Woman by Marcia Griffiths, etc., etc. Some nice stuff in there. As you would expect, it was a pretty good year for commercial-ish reggae, 78. And what else have we got then? Let's see. Country rock. This is where they go into city, which we've looked at before, where they go from city to city and have a look at the local scene. So I'll apologise for people who had nothing to do with Bristol at the time, but I'll just have a little poke around in the Bristol page, Bristol piece. The acute and depressing dearth of venues continues unabated. Having cast such long and gloomy shadows in my last dispatch, the position, with the emergence of the Bamboo Club, previously an exclusive home of Jar Sounds, that's Jar Sounds, as a much needed new wave venue at the end of November, provided cause for unguarded optimism, with a healthy and impressive list of upcoming imports that, apart from the Pistols, including the Rich Kids, XTC, Wire and so on, as well as offering the opportunity for local outfits to play alongside them, a most healthy future seemed in store. And then I know what's coming next. Tragically, a mysterious explosion wrecked the joint shortly before Christmas, leaving it standing as little more than a burnt-out shell, which was tragic because the Bamboo Club did look like it was going to really fill a void in Bristol. Moving on, the Cortinas played a special one-off Christmas show at the Locarno, pulling in a sizable crowd of something over 1,000, which included moi. They showcased a number of new songs that have only recently been added to their revamped repertoire, plus the more popular old favourites. With the pop group appearing less and less in the area, greatest interest now surrounds both social security and the media. The latter also going through some considerable changes in personnel, with the departure of both their keyboards player and drummer, as well as presenting many new songs. Social Security released a single, which is brilliant. The media never released anything. You will find something since on, I think it's on Avon Calling 2. And they were brilliant. Both were they after the Cortinas, probably the two main Bristol punk bands at the time, together with the Pigs. Oh, it goes on here. Apart from the Pigs, the other most obviously contender in the New Wave Stakes is Vermix, managed by Dartmoor John of Street Heat fame. I can't even remember Vermix, so I'm ashamed to say. Do any of my other Bristol friends? Vermix, Vermix. Here we go. Soundcheck. Full page ad for Rick Wakeman on the move. It's not looking good, is it? Any questions? Now, I usually skim past this, but the headlines caught my eye. Wild is punk. And Mika Petra of Dorking asks, where can one buy punk clothes and what do they cost? And interestingly, rather than saying go to your local charity shops, like most of us provincial punks did and made our own clothes, Melody Maker says, Vivienne Westwood of Seditionaries, 430 Kings Road, Chelsea, London, replies, it need cost nothing. We have every respect for the kid who comes to our shop, has a good look around, picks our brains and then goes off feeling inspired to do his own thing. If you can't afford the train fare, take a look at your old school uniform and let your imagination and your scissors run wild. Good for Viv. Wild is a good word. If you end up looking wild, then you're a punk for sure. Don't make the mistake of looking just like a tramp, though. You must look like a rogue. Sorry, but in our shop, the cheapest item is an anarchy handkerchief costing £2. T-shirt is next at £5. To buy a pair of bondage trousers was cost £30. They are sold complete with loincloth, belt and leg strap, and the width of the leg is adjustable by means of 4 back zips. There is a 16-inch through zip at the fly. They are good and strong. Punk jackets are grease impregnated. 3-button double-breasted leather trim, waterproof and warm, with a quilted lining. They cost £35. Seditionaries hate the traditional zip leather jacket, which we find too trendy and quite MOR, middle of the road. We send all information of t-shirt designs and a clothing price list to anyone who sends a stamped addressed envelope. We do mail order. To dress like a punk is the first step to becoming an anarchist. When you know you're an anarchist, then you're a punk. And so says Vivienne Westwood. Well, that's the best bit of this paper so far. That's marvellous. Brilliant. Will the Pink Fairies get together again? What are they all doing now? Were there any songbooks? Twink, good old Twink, who was one of the 2 drummers in the band, says there is no chance of revival and there were no songbooks. Twink is writing and is planning to put a band together. He has recorded a 12-inch 3-track single for Chiswick Records, which is due out on February the 3rd and features Do It 77 on one side and Psychedelic Punkaroo and Enter the Diamonds on the other. Out of the others, Duncan Sanderson is playing bass with the Lightning Raiders. Lead guitarist Paul Rudolph has been in Spain learning to play the mandolin and writing and is due back any day now to do some recording with Eno. Russ, the other drummer, is now with Babylon. So now you know. Good old fairies. This is the posters and t-shirts page. And the crossword page, which I didn't finish. What was one across that I didn't get? Eagle's version of Close to the Edge. Take it to the limit. I'm ashamed to say that I know a Eagles answer. Now there we go. These things happen. Folk page. Entertainment guide. Caught in the Act. More Caught in the Act. 999. Judas Priest. Adam and the Ants. This is the gigs page, nothing jumping out at me there. And then we go through all of the small ads to the back page, which is a very sparse ad, which reads, "The Earth travels 5,500 miles in 5 minutes." 5 minutes could only be the Stranglers, couldn't it? See you next time.